My name is Kirk Moore, and I'm a certified geek and a bona fide nerd, and you can't teach that. And this is Jed, and he's a puppy, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, creepiest guy in the chat room. How you doing? YouTube! How you doing? Ryan Wright was wrong about being Ryan Wright, and LeafyIsHere picks on a guy with mental health issues. There's only one phrase to describe what's going on here, and I'm going to spell it out for you. T-I-I-B. The internet is bullshit! So, YouTube, how are you doing? I hope I didn't drive too many people away there with my Enzo and Cass borrowed entrance. Today I thought I'd talk about online personas and how people create a fake reality around themselves. Some people do it for privacy, some people do it for security, and some people do it to hide from the fact that they're trolling the fuck out of everyone else. Now, if you've ever watched any reaction videos on YouTube, you've more than likely come across the Real Rejects at some point. And the Real Rejects are fronted by a guy called Ryan Wright, who seems to be obsessed with his penis. The Real Rejects do reaction videos to movie trailers and popular viral videos, along with actual proper reviews of movies themselves. With the frontman being Ryan Wright, they tend to be rather humorous reviews, but the humour that is used tends to be of the scatological or frat boy level dick-based humour. And some people tend to like that. I mean, hey, I'm not averse to a good dick joke myself. Hell, I just have to look at my own trousers to see one of those. But all is not what it seems. Ryan recently made a video, which has subsequently been taken down, where he admitted he's not really Ryan Wright. His real name is actually Greg Alba, and Ryan Wright was a persona that he created in order to further his YouTube career. And this Ryan Wright is apparently more of a dirty-minded perv than Greg Alba actually is. And the crude brand of humour that he used seems to have ultimately cost him his relationship with Veronica Sextos, his long-term partner. And make no mistake, Ryan, or Greg, has realised that he is fucked up big time, because with Veronica he is definitely punching above his weight. So he announced that he's dropping the Ryan Wright persona, and he's going to review the movies and do reactions as himself. So the crude, caustic sense of humour that he was using as that character will cease to be, and he will be more of a normal person. So this Ryan Wright persona that Greg had created gave him carte blanche to be as rude and crude as he possibly can, because some of the stuff he would say you wouldn't say in polite conversation. And obviously the persona got out of control because it ultimately cost him his girlfriend. And this is a danger when anyone gets any sort of touch of fame, that people are always looking for the next best thing, so people do go out of their way to try and keep the attention on themselves. And Greg's way of doing this was to be a dick. But for all that he's saying that he was playing a character, I think it's a fair assumption that a lot of the Ryan Wright was actually himself letting out his own internal demons. But his sex-filled, crude humour was popular, and he got a fair number of views from his videos based upon that persona. So it will be interesting to see what happens when he reverts to being Greg Alba, if he does indeed follow through on that, to see how much the videos change and whether it affects the interest that people have in his channel. But this is something I wanted to talk about today, that how everyone online creates a facade for themselves. They put on a mask. They can be a better version of themselves if they wish, or at least attempt to be a better version of themselves. They can try to be wittier, funnier, sexier, whatever they want to do, because there is a barrier, there is a screen in between you and the viewer. There's no direct contact one-to-one, so they feel protected. They feel that they can open themselves out more and do things they wouldn't normally do. So some people play to their strengths. So if they know that they've got a good voice, they'll keep their faces off camera, because people can then fill in the blanks of what they think they might look like. Now, of course, once again, some people also just do it for privacy as well. But you must admit, sometimes when you've seen pictures of radio DJs for the first time, or internet celebrities who are just, you've known them as a voice, some people can be greatly disappointed because they've filled in this idea in their head of what a person is like, and then when it gets revealed, well, they can be disappointed. But people can create a facade for themselves. They can completely reinvent themselves on the internet. They can say they're the complete opposite of how they actually are in real life. They can give themselves a different name. They can say they're from a different country. They can change their gender depending on what sort of circumstances they're using their avatar in. And of course, like anything, that's a double-edged sword. People can easily lose themselves in the fantasy and forget about their own true selves. They get kind of drunk on the response that they get to their online personas. So in some cases, like what seems to have happened with Ryan Wright, that bleeds out into real life. And if you've gone onto the comment thread of just about any video on YouTube or any below-the-line comments on a newspaper article, you'll always see the faceless trolls on there who will spout forth the most outrageous shit because there's no repercussions for them. They will have often no profile picture, their name will be made up. They feel they've got that shield and that barrier so they can just say whatever crap that they wish. So if you don't want to be a fat, schlubby, hairy loser who lives in your mum's basement, you can change that. You can put up a profile of some Hemsworth-worthy looking guy. You can lie about your height, your weight. You can lie about your income, whatever you want to do. You can completely change who you are. And even if they use their real names or a close approximation of their real names, they will change how they act on camera as well. It isn't necessarily how they act in real life. A lot of the YouTubers who vlog in particular may be quite amped up and excited, and they'll put a lot more energy into their performance than they actually are. They're probably a bit more downbeat and low-key in real life. But it's that upbeat energy and that excitement that draws you in. So even I myself have created a bit of an online persona for this series of The Internet is Bullshit. I mean, the hat I only put on in the first video because my hair looked absolutely awful. And while it seems like I do long stream of consciousness deliveries to the camera, it does take a lot of work. For an average 10 to 12 minute video, I may record up to half an hour to 40 minutes of footage, which I then have to piece together. I don't pre-script my videos, I sort of start talking to the camera and see what comes out, then try and shape my thoughts as I go along. And sometimes my mouth overtakes my brain, I stumble over my words, I have to go back and do it again. Sometimes when I'm talking, the ideas don't assemble properly, and then while I'm talking about something else, I'll have an idea and I have to go back to it. But you can probably see that by all the number of jump cuts that there are in this video. In real life, I'm probably even more boring and mundane than I actually seem to be on these particular videos. As I said, it is both a good thing and a bad thing. Sometimes it will give people more confidence to reach out to other folk that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do if they were doing it in real life. But then other people think that creating a fake persona gives them a bulletproof armour to go out and absolutely shit on everyone else. And sometimes people do overstep the mark and they get called out on it. So there's a guy called LeafyIsHere who does a series of videos where he basically makes snarky comments about other YouTubers. He's got about 1.5 million subs at the moment, but instead of taking pot shots at some of the more successful YouTubers, the ones who could probably take a joke and take a bit of a hit, he tends to punch downwards rather than upwards, and he tends to pick on people who aren't necessarily able to defend themselves. And he seemed to really overstep the mark with a YouTuber called TOMMYNC2010. Now please go to his channel and show him some love, because he's a really nice guy by the looks of things. TOMMYNC is a little bit weird, he's a little bit awkward, and he more than likely has some mental health issues, most likely to be autism. But he gets out there, he makes a lot of YouTube videos in his own little awkward way, and some of them are very sweet. He's trying to bring a positive message out into the world. And before Leafy sort of leapt onto him, he had less than 20,000 subscribers. I mean, hey, I've only got just over 100, so I can't really talk about being a big YouTuber. And so Mr. LeafyIsHere made his snarky video about TOMMYNC, and unfortunately a load of Leafy's followers then jumped onto Tommy's channel and told him to kill himself and made lots of death threats and all sorts of horrible things like that. And of course Tommy, with his mental health issues, couldn't quite handle that, and he had a bit of a breakdown on camera saying that he was concerned about this and he was going to stop YouTubing. But then, and here this is the great thing, and this actually made me cry a little, he got showered with love instead. After he had all that hate dumped on him, tens of thousands of people have now subscribed to his channel. Okay, he went from having less than 20,000 to having close to 100,000 in the space of a couple of days. And that's a great thing. As I said, Tommy is a really sweet guy. He's really sweet. He doesn't mean any harm to anyone. He didn't deserve to be picked on like he was. And please, I encourage you all to go and have a look at his channels. As I said, he's a little bit weird, he's a little bit awkward, but he means no harm whatsoever. I'll put a link down here below. And Leafy, to his credit, put out an apology video realising that he had overstepped the mark with this guy. But then again, that was only because he was called out by H3H3 Productions, who also makes snarky videos about other YouTubers, but he tends to punch upwards. And this is what people forget when they do commentary videos on other people. They try to be funny, but I have to remember, back in the day, the role of the fool, or the jester, was to make fun of the king. And the jester could pretty much say whatever the hell they wanted and draw attention to all the bad points of the king. And that was one of the main roles of the fool, to bring the rulers, the higher-ups, down a peg or two, to remind them that they were still actually human. Ultimately, there is no point in picking on someone who has, say, 10 subscribers and going, ha ha ha, they've only got 10 subscribers, they're a piece of shit. Why do you need to do that? If they're doing something that they love and they enjoy, just let them get on with it. You don't even need to say anything to them. Snark has its place, but sometimes you've got to choose your targets. So creating an online alter ego does give you a tremendous sense of power, because you have all these barriers, all these masks that you can put on. And just because something is on the internet doesn't make it true. The recent revelation that people like SoFlo Antonio faked a lot of their pranks is a case in point. Just because someone makes you laugh and says that someone's a piece of shit doesn't mean that the person is actually a piece of shit. Just like some people will expound certain controversial views, not that they necessarily believe them themselves, but they know that a lot of other people believe them, and it will draw attention back to them. Donald Trump. And just because someone may say that they're a 6'4" underwear model who plays polo and drinks champagne, doesn't necessarily mean that they're a 6'4" underwear model who plays polo and drinks champagne. And while some people may seem to be hilarious or witty or intelligent or even sexy on the internet, they may actually be just tongue-tied schlubs in real life. And when people construct these online personas, it's like they're putting on a mask. Now, while sometimes when some people put on a mask, they might go and do superheroic things, more often than not, most people end up becoming supervillains. The actor Wil Wheaton came up with a nice phrase to use when it comes to interacting with one another on the internet, and it subsequently became known as Wheaton's Law. It's very simple. It's don't be a dick. And if people spent more time channeling their dicks inwards rather than waving them outwards, the internet would be a much better place. Certainly, there would be much less bullshit on the internet. I'm Kirk, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.